Know the truth prophecies. War against the saints. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and men and women of the diaspora. Today we're going to talk about the welfare system and the harm it has done to the indigenous colored people and the diaspora. Revelation 13, verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. The welfare system from the past to the present day is not what you think it is. There is a video in 1973, welfare video, that shows how Esau infiltrated the black families to destroy them. The government welfare system has divided many black families since 1935 during the Great Depression. President Franklin D. Roosevelt established the first welfare program in the United States. The system looked like a nice package for people of color, nicely packaged with a nice bow on top, but in fact it was a mental, depriving, systematic, destructive grenade to those of color who were on this welfare system. This welfare system was designed to keep the breadwinner, the man of the house, out of his own house or from under the roof the welfare system would provide for the family, while giving money to the women to make sure he stayed out of the house. Wow. Can you believe that? Ladies and gentlemen, does that sound right to you? Isn't there a saying, a man is the king of his house? Of course there is. Well, if a man doesn't have a castle, meaning a home, how can he be a king? I smell a rat. How can a man be a role model to his family if he is not in the house? How can a man show his family guidance? And how can he provide for his family if the welfare system doesn't allow the man to be in the house? This welfare system is another way Esau has duped the people of color and of the diaspora, the children of the 12 tribes. Now, the system in America is very prejudiced against people of color and of the diaspora. They have suffered much in America, and yet they built America. Now, black men and women in the early 50s, 60s, 70s, and to this present day had servitude jobs to help provide for their families. More so, it was more prevalent in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now, jobs were hard to come by for men of color and women of color. But then you have a welfare system that's designed to kick a black man out of his house, on top of him trying to work in a white supremacist system. This is a way that Esau was destroying black and color-coded families. But let's take a closer look on how Esau infiltrated the families of color. Remember Adam and Eve in Genesis 3, chapter 3, verse 3, eating of the forbidden fruit? In the Bible, in Genesis, the serpent came to Eve with his proposal plan when Eve went to the tree of knowledge. Mind you, the Most High warned Eve not to eat or go near the tree of knowledge. But Eve disobeyed the Most High and went near the tree, and went close enough to hear the serpent speak his lies to her, and finally, after listening to the serpent's babble, she was convinced that it was all right to eat the sinful fruit of good and evil. And because of that transgression, and then her bringing that babble that Satan gave her to Adam, that which looked good put this whole earth in turmoil. Adam was in charge, and yet he listened to Eve and listen to the deception. Now, the garden is one example that disobedience was practiced. Adam and Eve disobeyed the Most High. Now, let's speed it up to the present. Esau and his white supremacy ways came to Eve with another proposal plan. And when many women of color, especially the women of the diaspora and the women of color of the 12 tribes, shook hands with Esau's plans for the welfare system, they were duped and were led to destroy their families from Esau's white supremacy welfare plan to keep the man out of the house. Yes, women of color, you were deceived like Eve was deceived in the garden, whether you want to believe it or not. You listened to Esau deal, and that deal was no good. Like Eve listened to the serpent's deal in the garden, and it was no good. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. Now, the men are just as much to blame. When Eve brought the fruit to Adam, Adam could have said, "No, I will not partake in this lie." But instead, Adam said, "Okay," and fulfilled himself with deception. Like Adam, the men followed suit with the women who got on welfare. Instead of saying no and fighting for their rights, instead of him saying, "No, woman, we will not partake in this Esau's plan to go on welfare," no, he didn't do that. Now, at this time, some men and some women of color knew that the system was no good. The system plan and welfare system was no good, and they did not up for it. However, unfortunately, a large number of women of color have taken Esau's white supremacy welfare plan, and the damage is great now. All the way back from the 50s, it's been tearing up black families. Our families have been divided up. Women of color should always remember that Esau will always come with a proposal plan to them that sounds good, looks good, and feels good, but does nothing truly righteous for them, and it isn't good for them. Remember the destruction that this story has brought. Remember the story of Adam and Eve. Women, you have to remember that, and men have to remember it. That's an example of how things work when you allow the enemy, when you allow yourself to listen to the enemy. And the enemy, Esau, tricks you, dukes you out of the goodness that the Most High has for you. Remember, Romans chapter 9, verse 13, as it is written, "Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated." This is what the Bible says. That tells you the tares reaps corruption. The wheat brings truth. The wheat is the children of the Most High. So, if the Bible tells you that the Most High loves Jacob and hates Esau, that is a clue that you should take time out not to take these bargain deals that you think are good from Esau. Only thing the welfare system is partially good for is for foreigners who come from over the seas to America needing assistance, and to our young teenage moms who get pregnant at an early age in America, who need support until they can get on their feet. That's just temporarily. But originally, what the welfare system was used for in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and to this date is to keep people of color divided and conquered over and controlled. The welfare system worked against families of color who had fathers in the home. Now, the welfare system also had non-melanated women in the system, but the welfare system was not trying to break up these non-melanated families, only the families of color. The welfare system made sure no black men were in the house. I know because I lived it. I had a beautiful black girlfriend who was on welfare, and you better believe it. When welfare came around, she made sure I was not in the home and made sure that apartment was sparkling clean. Now, I wanted to marry this woman, but she didn't know how to perceive having a dedicated, devoted relationship being with one man in marriage. That's because welfare gave her a false facade, a false hope, and the illusion that she was in charge because welfare had her back. She felt she didn't need a man in her life. And this is exactly what welfare does to women of color. On welfare, it messes with their psyche. It gives them great illusions, negative illusions towards men. And they feel like they don't need a man. And that's what the welfare system teaches. Raise your kids without a dad. Newsflash, women who believe that lie. The man brings balance to the family, and the woman brings balance as well. It is a team effort. It's a team, and without a team, you can't have a game. You can't even play in a game without a team. So how can you have a real family without the king and queen, mother and father working together? The man brings the masculinity to the family, and the woman brings the femininity to the family. The man and the woman must help install in their children what is necessary for a healthy development of the mind, so the children can have the right tools to make sense of everything that goes around this world, what goes around them. The welfare system mainly attacked those of color because welfare knew how important the black man, the Indian man, the Mexican man, the Colombian man, the Cuban man, etc., was needed in the family. If you get on welfare, the man can't be part of the family because now the family belongs to the state. And since the woman relied on the state, now that man, which is the anchor and the rudder of the family, has been taken out of the family dynamics. For example, a ship without an anchor and a rudder will drift wherever the waves will take that ship. Without an anchor, you can't even come into port without an anchor. You will crash. The anchor and rudder keeps the ship from crashing and keeps the ship from going adrift. You see, an anchor is what a godly man does for his family. The godly man of a family keeps the family from going astray when lies and madness comes to his family. The false doctrines of the world promoting same-sex relationships and the worldly view that you can eat any kind of meat and it won't harm you. The worldly view that not doing what is written in your King James Bible, statute, laws, and commandments won't hurt you. Well, men and women, that's a lie. It will hurt you, and it will make you crash, just like a ship without an anchor and a rudder. If you don't believe me, ask a captain over a large ship. If you don't have any anchor or a rudder, will you still navigate this ship over the rough seas and take it into Florida's famous port, Tampa Bay? He will look at you like you have lost your mind. Now you see, just like a ship needs an anchor and a rudder, so does a family need a man in the household. A godly man and a godly woman is what is needed to raise a family correctly, to help with mental stability. Just like you can't have a child naturally with two men or two women of the same sex. Same-sex relationships cannot produce a child naturally. You can't raise a healthy family mentally sane, positive, without God. A godly man and a godly woman, the family needs, both men and women, anchored. and guided by God so they can teach the children correctly. Yes, my brothers and sisters, men and women of the diaspora, men and women of the 12 tribes of Jacob, we need God to anchor our minds and our actions into doing the right thing for our children. So now one must ask himself, who would do such a thing to the families of the indigenous people and the diaspora and the children of the Most High and the foreigners who come over to America? The ones who know how important it is that both godly men and women are needed to raise children in their family. Only the wicked tares of this system, only Esau would do that, divide the family. And who promotes this? The wicked leaders of America, the wicked leaders of the welfare system. They promote this madness. Now, in short, men and women of the diaspora, of the 12 tribes of Jacob, the indigenous people, you must, in these strange days, in Revelations, because we're in Revelations now, you must rely on the Most High, and you must stay strong, and you must stay focused. You must stay focused, and God will guide you. Yah, the Most High, will guide you through His Son and through the Holy Spirit. Okay, brothers and sisters, read that Bible and stay strong, stay focused. God's got your protection in these strange revelation days. Know the true prophecies. Let the Most High guide you. The Father is terrible to those who do not want to do His will. Be on His good side. God bless you, my brothers and sisters, men and women of the diaspora, of the 12 tribes. God bless you, and stay strong. Shalom.